Welcome to the Secret Underground Laboratory Recovery and Salvage, where rude mechanicals do magic. Hello, I'm Salvage, Director of the Secret Underground Laboratory Recovery and Salvage. Spring comes early in Louisiana. We've already got flowers blooming, grass is growing again. It's like winter never actually happened. And that means spring cleaning comes early as well. I have spent the morning cleaning out the Sunrise Cypress Tool Chest. Got everything dusted, wiped down, make sure it's nice and shiny. And you're going to get to be with me while I put it all back together. I built the Cypress Tool Chest back in 1991. I had been at an auction where there were some shelf units that had come out of a warehouse. They were made out of rough cut cypress, 8 feet tall, 4 feet wide. There were 6 of them. For some reason, they had been painted with a very dark stain, some sort of Jacobean fruit wood. I'm not sure what it was. This piece is one of the last remaining things I have that was made with some of that wood. You can see the color here. It's a little over an inch thick and about 11.5 inches wide. And I decided that I was going to make myself a tool chest out of it that would hold my growing collection of hand tools. I had put a lot of thought into the design of the chest, exactly what I needed and what it was going to look like. First thing I decided was I wasn't going to be able to carry it by myself. But that was okay, because what was important was that it should contain all the essential tools that I needed for doing the kind of handwork that I did in those days, and I still do for the most part. So I settled on dovetail corners and a box top. The box top means that there's actually a good bit of storage space in the top, so when you open it up, all of that is quickly accessible. The top is called a elevated panel, not to be confused with a raised panel. Raised panels, what you see in wainscoting and doors and stuff, where they put a panel inside of a frame and it is planed around the outside edges, which is called raising. An elevated panel is slightly different in that it's like this, where the panel is actually elevated above the frame. Now what this does on top of the chest is it means that any dust or water that gets on it's going to be shed and run off the outside. If it was a regular raised plane design, you'd basically create a funnel so that anything that got on the top gets inside sooner or later. And that's just not good. It's got the coffin handles, the baseboard all the way around the outside, and fairly light with nothing. Got quite a few fixtures and jigs on the inside, intended to hold tools in place. This is the hangar deck, and these cleats keep the big planes from banging against each other whenever this thing is moved around. The biggest of which is the number 7. Now this is a Ward's Master number 7. It's one of the first planes I bought, and in fact I bought it chiefly because I knew I was going to be building this tool chest. I had all the wood. It was rough, about 1 inch, 1/8, a little more width all the way around. And with this plane and a few of the others, I managed to plane it all down to an even 1 inch. You can see right here, this banding shows you how the wood was originally milled out by a bandsaw. So I took down just enough wood to get a good, clean, consistent base on one side. Didn't worry about so much on the other side, as long as I could get it to 1 inch thick, especially at the ends where the dovetails are going to be cut. This little Craftsman plane, which is roughly the equivalent of a Stanley number 4, was first plane I actually bought. Found it in a flea market, reasonable price. I'd never had one, and this was it. That was soon followed by the good old Stanley number 5. You really can't do this kind of work without a number 5. This one came off of eBay. Got a little grinder damage here on the side. I have no idea how that could have happened. It was like that when I bought it. Cleaned it up, sharpened the blade, and it has done good service ever since. A genuine Stanley number 4 came in right after that. Then the Stanley number 3. This plane is so useful. It's the only one that I have 2 of. When we had to close down the old lab, I just basically went through all my stock, collected the best of them, which was what was actually already in here, and sold off all the surplus. The number 3 was the only one that I kept a duplicate. There's one that stays in this box, and there's one that stays on the BF bench, because they're just that useful. The last piece of the big Stanley planes is this number 6. Picked it up because it was just a good deal. Couldn't resist it. Everybody needs 2 joint planes. The special planes have their own bed. Keeps them nice and safe. Starting with the good old Stanley 78 Rabbet plane. This sees a lot of use in the lab, especially when we have our woodworking camp for kids age 5 on up to however old they want to be. Very useful tool. Then the scrub plane, the number 40. Again, another useful piece. Number 80 scraper. And of course, good old Stanley 45. This is a fairly new addition to the tool collection. The last plane to go in is the number 78 router plane. And when I was building the Cypress chest, I didn't have the 45, but I still had to make the grooves for the panels for the top. And so I made them with this tool right here and this cutter right here. Went through just like that, cut it to the bottom. That's called doing it the hard way, but sometimes that's just what you got to do. One of the non-traditional features of the box is the rails for the tills, which go from side to side instead of front to back like most toolboxes. And people asked me about that, and that was because my plans from the very beginning were to be able to use the end panels as storage for tools like this. The opposite end holds the mortising chisels. I got these out of the Garrett Wade catalog. They're marbles. I think they're pretty good. Keep them nice and sharp. And they made all the mortise and tenons, especially for the frame for the lid. And a pair of back saws. one with a crosscut tooth pattern, this husky here, and the other one, a grape neck, is cut with a rip teeth. Now the last piece to go on this one here is my Garrett Wade chisels. These are the chisels that actually cut the ducktails. I try to keep them nice and sharp. They will cut you. Now it's time to fill the tills. On this side, I've got the 2-level till. And the stuff I keep in here doesn't follow any particular pattern. I've got these old screwdrivers. This one is a pattern that is still in use today with the little wings on it and the blade that goes all the way up to the handle. Very strong piece of hardware. 2 more very old screwdrivers. No idea how old they are. Probably as old as machine-made screws themselves. Bit of file. Got this piece here, which is pretty cool. Sold as a multi-tool. Here we have a flat chisel. We've got round chisel, screwdriver blades, a square reamer, a little saw blade, a couple of small screwdrivers. Basically, you've got a handyman in your pocket if you've got one of these. One of the other pieces that goes in here is a pretty rare thing. This is a Easy Mark butt gauge. Comes in this very handy plastic vinyl carrying case because it has these sharp edges on it. And what it does is if you're a carpenter who's got to hang a door and you've got to put door hinges on it and you're using the standard hardware, you simply just sit there, tap this, and it leaves marks where you can make a nice crisp mortise the exact depth that you need to install your butt hinges. And believe it or not, I've actually had these things come in handy when I had to hang a door that didn't come from a mill where everything was all put together with wire brads. Now another multi-tool is the Stanley Handyman H1220 egg beater drill. It came with a set of fluted bits in the handle here, and this one, amazingly enough, still has all of it. It's incredible. If you were a home handyman and had to install a shelf or something, quick and easy cordless drill. Another form of cordless drill is this little tiny baby brace. The only thing I use it for is for countersinking screws from time to time. Very nice and convenient. I keep T-bevel here. And the only actual molding plane I have. I'm trying to find some molding cutters for the Stanley 45. But I bought this one just for making this profile right here. One last piece that goes in here is this little Pexto 5-inch divider. Also very handy because most dividers you come across are big. Sometimes you need a little one. top sliding till here where I keep all the gimlets. Probably way more than I actually need, and lots of duplicates, but I like them. They're very handy when you've got to make just one screw hole, and goes in nice and quick, lightweight. Batteries never go dead. The left till has these two small drawers in the bottom and a panel that comes out. They're made with blind dovetails on the side. And again, all these pieces, these thin pieces, were resawn from the original Cypress shelves. And these drawers I just use for keeping little odds and ends. Actually, a set of nail punches and stuff like that. Again, no real system, but if you always put them back there, you know where to find them. That's a cool little 12-inch rule. And some little machinist rules, again, always come in handy. The last pieces to go in, fill the lid. The Japanese pull saw. The PAX rip saw, which was the one responsible for resawing all the thin pieces. Craftsman chrome edge taper brown, another one I've had quite a long time. Dovetail saw. And the last piece to go in is the framing square. So never forget what the Cypress Sunrise Toolbox tells you. Sunt intra me instrumenti, sed est intra tua anime ars, which in English means the tools are in me, but the art is in your soul. So this is Bronze Age. I'm happy you could share this time with me as we put the toolbox back together. Appreciate you watching. Would really like it if you would like and subscribe. Even share the video with your friends. And we'll see you on the next video. Thank you very much.